Larry, Fort Worth Memories Museum and Groups. Well, I'm connected to YouTube, but I don't know if I'm connected to... Yeah, now it says I'm live. There I am. Well, I'm going to edit the post. Today is Tuesday, come on. Today's Tuesday, April 22nd. Tuesday, April 22nd. I'm going to tell everybody good morning. And we're going to share it to the internet, memories, live videos, messages, and we're on YouTube. Marilyn's in, James is in, Brittany's in, Jeannie's in, Cleburne's in. They're typing as we speak. Supposed to start raining tomorrow through Saturday. Another screwed up week. So tomorrow, Rosie's off today. Tomorrow, I'm going to let her start cleaning up that detail bay that I've made a mess out of for the last few months. She can organize stuff so good. So, and we're going to try to get, we've got appointments for every day for 2 weeks really, and one already canceled for tomorrow. I'm hoping that it clears off, and I've got some people on the waiting list that I can call and see if they're willing to bring their car in. The reason I'm late this morning, I stopped up there on Montgomery and 30 to go to that Dutch Brothers. So I exit on Montgomery coming down 30, and then I get in the far right lane and I go like towards University, but then you got to turn in to get to that Dutch Brothers. And I witnessed a wreck right there. Some kids, I mean, I swear they had to be high school kids, were in a older model Monte Carlo. It was one that was like a lowrider car. Well, a lady had come down the access road to turn into Dutch Brothers, and I don't know who you want to say, who do you yield to? One was trying to turn left into Dutch Brothers, the kids. She was trying to turn right, and so she went ahead and went in front of them. They blew their horn, and I thought, well, they're upset, but they'll get over it. And I pulled in behind them. So as you go down that long drive to turn to come back up to make your order, the Dutch Brothers had their person come out. You know, it's kind of like Chicken Express. Those kids or employees come out and they take your order. They got an iPad, and if you're paying cash, you got to pay it up there at the window. If you're paying card, they go ahead and get that out of the way. So everything's hunky-dory. They already took my order, and I'm behind these two vehicles. So I'm between the lady and the kids. Well, one of these kids gets out of the passenger side and walks up to the passenger side of that lady's car, and I don't know what he was saying. I couldn't understand it. He wasn't screaming, but he was talking pretty loud, and I don't know what she said or whatever. The kid got back in the car and the driver just floored the car. Ran in the back of hers. It was a little Toyota, I think a Camry. Well, then he gets to where he's putting it in reverse. I could see his backup lights come on. And I'm thinking, God, I just got the truck out of the shop. This ain't going to be good. So I get out of my truck, and they shot across. There's two lines, but it's really just one line and 3/4. But before they shot across, they backed up all the way to my truck and hit her again. Her trunk lid popped open, but we got that closed. It messed up her bumper. I can't believe I didn't get the license number. So anyway, there was a patrol car, I think, over at the gas station on Montgomery and 30, and he came over and took my information. I said, I kind of need to get open. He said, yeah, you're late on the morning show, aren't you? And I said, I will be. And so, sir, thank you. He didn't want me to say his name, but we backed the Fort Worth PD and FD. And anyway, that's the craziest thing I ever saw. And so I went ahead and left, and I heard something fall. The employees had put my hot chocolate on the bed of the, on the rail. And anyway, it was too late. I had to get on down here. But anyway, we're at the point now. I really don't know who's really in the right on that. In other words, they would have been meeting, and the lady, they kind of both got there at the same time, was turning right into the Dutch Brothers, drive-through stuff, and the kids were turning left into it, and she just kind of went in front of them. I honestly think the kids were there first, but so I started trying to remember my driver's ed. When you're driving the same way as somebody coming off a feeder road, you're supposed to yield to the right, if I remember correctly. So who would you yield to, and I guess it's just common courtesy. You let somebody go and then you go behind them. And I don't know if they caught up with the kids. I asked Mike, the officer, I said, could you call me and let me know? And he said, yeah, just don't say my name on the air. And I think he's going to come by here. But good morning. There is a stop sign the lady, if she would have gone straight instead of turning into the Dutch Brothers, it would have been in front of her. These kids had come up, it's kind of an access road, but it's got petitions. It's kind of crazy. You can actually get it from Politos and drive all the way up to Montgomery. So, and there's a stop sign there, but the kids had already cleared that because I was kind of in the turning thing. But they hadn't gotten out of my way, and I thought, well, and there was two trucks behind me. Everybody kind of meets over there about 15 to 6. So anyway, I just wonder who really had the right-of-way there. I didn't get the license number, but the officer seemed to think he knew who they were and told me they were Heights kids. Awful early in the morning. Well, yeah, because I didn't get back over here till 6. I just got here. So anyway, you just don't ever know when you need to be aware of your surroundings and everything. And I searched my mind. I thought, surely I looked at that license plate. When they started hammering, he'd back it up, boom, boom, boom. But he never did touch my truck. I was going to jerk him out of that driver's seat if he had ever touched my truck. Gladys is in. Good morning. Okay, Connie is in. Okay, so let's see what Cleburne. Larry. Thank the Lord. Somebody finally asked about this family. I don't very rarely talk about them. They're wanting to know about William Charbonnet. Tom is in, so y'all get ready for this. This is really a neat story. William Charbonnet, his parents, Alex and Octavia, were the first people to move into the Lake Worth area, and that was in 1878. Now, the land that Mr. Charbonnet and his wife and they only had one son, William, was actually more land than what is in Lake Worth today. I mean, that's how much property he owned. So William, now they raised horses, and they were called Percheron horses. These horses were work horses. They were similar to Clydesdales, so they were big, strong horses. So when William, the son, gets old enough to run the farm and the ranch, and they had a little bit of everything, the lake now wasn't built yet. He married a lady, and her name was Loree, Loree Rogers. Thank you. Hey, Tom. George is in. Good morning. So William was a very successful rancher. They grew food, farmer, they did it all. I mean, he was the employer in Lake Worth because he owned all the land. So he started giving away land. He gave away land for the first school that was built in 1911. He gave the land that the lake was built on. That was in 1910. The old school was built in 11. I'm trying to pull it up because there wasn't many kids out there. There's probably 30 kids, and his wife was one of the teachers. There was 4 teachers. Her name was Loree Rogers Charbonnet. So as things got going, now Fort Worth annexes them sometime after the lake was built, which was 1914. So William Charbonnet was the head honcho over there. He raised these Percheron horses. You can Google them and see what they look like. I've done it before. They look like a Clydesdale, just a little bit smaller. So as the school needed a bigger school, and they figured out they needed a little school, a middle school, and a bigger school. So William Charbonnet again donated the land basically where Lake Worth High School is now, and that school was built and utilized until 81. From 53 to 81. In 39, he donated the land for that. So when they got that school open, he was on the school board. Now get this. Lake Worth School Board, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. The school board adopted a something to be, I don't know what you call that, a rule or a law or whatever, that he couldn't have his cattle on school property. Hello, he gave y'all all the land for that. Anyway, he stayed on the school board, and they worked that difference out. In 1965 is when he died, but I've got actually cardboard. They're not cardboard. They were, I don't know what kind of material they are, but they were on the fence post of Charbonnet land. I've got 3 or 4 of them, and I paid a lot of money for them. But nobody ever talks about that family. that family was really kind of mistreated by the city of Lake Worth. He donated everything. The lake, all the lake property, the schools, all that land was Charbonnet land. When you're driving through Lake Worth, that Walmart, all that land was owned by William Charbonnet. And there's nothing out there that's ever, I don't know of any statues, monuments, or anything that talk about how wonderful this family was. He didn't want anything to do with Fort Worth, or he was upset when they got annexed, but he was an easygoing guy, and his wife always kept him calmed down, and she stayed a teacher there for a long time. What is what? I don't know how they worked out. How much did he pay for all that? I don't know. So land in Texas, when the United States, or when Republic of Texas, let's back it up. When Ephraim Daggett captured Santa Anna, and he got Santa Anna to sign that piece of paper giving Texas to us, the first president of the Republic of Texas was General Sam Houston. Sam Houston made a deal with Peters Land Company, who is the land company from England or somewhere that helped colonize states up north. So the way it was is, if you were a single man, you could only get 320 acres. And if you worked the land and developed either 5 or 10 acres, then it was free. If you didn't, you had to work out some kind of payment. If you were a family, you could get 640 acres, which is what my family did. People say, well, how did all of these people like K.M. Van Zandt, thousands of acres, different families acquired a lot of land. And so the Land Colonization Company, Peters Land Company, that guy would have an office here, and they got a great, every time they gave a parcel of land of 640 acres, they got to choose any 10 acres they wanted for their own use. So you can tell that they amassed a lot of land, and probably some of those people were smart enough to know the railroad would eventually get here. But anyway, they came, they stayed for a few days, they left, they came back 6 months later, twice a year. So I've heard stories, read stories where Cass Edwards, Lemuel Edwards was the very first Edwards here, okay? And he always had 2 sons, always had a Cass and always had a Crawford. That's still the same today. So the landman comes back. Now this is just a made up deal that I'm giving you an example. The landman comes and he says, Lemuel, you don't have 640 acres anymore. You got 3,000 acres. What happened? We know Larry O'Neill over here, he and his family were gonna work that 640, and one of the kids got cholera, died, and they moved off. There's his ex, he couldn't write. I mean, I've heard that story. I don't know if that's true. There's not much, a lot of that information, when the first courthouse burned, a lot of that information went with the fire. But in any event, there were several different individuals that families still own large portions of Tarrant County. Edwards Farm, Van Zandt, the property that Montgomery Wards, all of that sits on, that was Van Zandt addition. That's why they had, when they redid that Montgomery Plaza, they had to, before Boomer Jacks could actually sell beer or anybody else, they had to chase down heirs of the Van Zants all over the world. And so those places that ended up selling alcohol, for the first 6 months they couldn't do it. They had to have, it was in the deed, no alcohol, and also no African Americans. So they had to chase down, and these Van Zants were everywhere. They were all successful, I think, and so they were everywhere. Oh no, there's lots of streets named after Charbonnet. In fact, when I interviewed Paige Charbonnet, who did the LTV Rise, the Las Vegas Trail deal, I asked her, I said, your husband, is he related to William Charbonnet? He has to be. I never have contacted him, but there has to be some, that name is not that, it's not like John Smith. So anyway, when I do speaking engagements, I often talk about people like William Charbonnet, people that really, I mean, this guy, everything in Lake Worth, it was responsible because of him. Both schools, all that property that the CCCC conservation deal, they were out there on Lake Worth property. That, and I've got pictures I can post of that. That was all land he donated and didn't ask for anything. I mean, he didn't want anything. He didn't even get real upset. How is the name spelled? CHARBONNEAU, I believe. CHARBONNEAU. Charbonnet. Google him. William Charbonnet. And Percheron is PERCHERON. And I didn't go to school. Dora's in. I don't have any idea. That'd be something good for us to research. Anybody do genealogy? Let's find out if there's any. There has to be. Now there was the original Alex and Octavia, Octavi, however you pronounce that. That was the mother and father of William Charbonnet. And William is the one that, not his parents, he's the one that donated the land. Mom and Dad ran a tighter rein, I guess. And William died in 1965. So he died 60 years ago to this year. But what a wonderful person he had to have been. Now, another little, there was people that questioned those Percheron horses, okay? The land in 1970, this is after he died, the land he had donated to the Lake Worth Methodist or Presbyterian Church, when they were digging it up to do the foundation, they found the horseshoes for large horses. Let me see if I can find, I guess they still got Percheron horses. But the land that he donated, all the churches there was land he donated. PERCHER Percheron breed. There's one of them. They're smaller than a Clydesdale. They're very smart, intelligent. They're workhorses. They originated in the river valley of western France. They're usually gray or black, have a life expectancy of 25 to 27 years. They're just workhorses. They were descended from war horses, WAR. Over time, they began to be used for pulling stagecoaches and later for agriculture and hauling heavy goods in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Arabian blood was added to the breed. Which is bigger, Clydesdale or Percheron? The Percheron, the Belgian draft, weighs between 1,800 to 2,200. Anyway, thank you, Cleburne. That was a great question. I always forget to bring that up. But you talking about somebody that did something. Amon Carter did a lot of stuff for Fort Worth. William Charbonnet did everything for Lake Worth. And he's never, to my knowledge, I don't think there's any statues, books, or anything written about him. Maybe that's something. We've got some people on the council and mayor out there in Lake Worth. I've spoke at their museum before. Maybe I can reach out. I will reach out and find out if there's anything been done for William Charbonnet. Let's do the sponsors. Winstead Paint and Body. They're on White Settlement Road, a block west of Roberts Cutoff. There it is. Scott Sumner is our IT guru. He can build you a website or technical issues. Alpha Design and Build is Lance Sanders' company. They're in the remodeling business, but they can also residential and commercial. They can put a second story on your house or your building. So they pretty much do it all. Fort Worth florist Jeanette and her team, they're out on Camp Bowie. You do it all. You don't even have to leave your house. Do it all over the phone or the internet. 817-244-2345. Dickie Carr is Richard Carr's nephew. His company is Grateful for Your Trees. They do everything to do with trees. Trim them, cut them, grind the tree stumps down, retaining walls, bobcat work, demolition work, haul off. You can see all the stuff they do. G2 Garage is in the White Settlement area. Chris and his team have done work for a lot of our members. We've gotten good reviews. Feltz Family Auto Care is in the Burleson area. Mike Feltz and his family, his wife, were over here. We had a real good visit. They're thinking of expanding in the future to another location to have two in Burleson. They stay real busy. Stroud Auto Supply. They are in the Riverside area. The address right off North Sylvania. I actually bought parts there when I was a kid for one of my old hot rod cars. Didn't know it at the time. Didn't know 50 or 60 years later I'd be doing business with his son. Schwartz and Hanson. Architects. They're very active in the bike giveaway and sponsor page. Rex's Bar and Grill. That thing's the Taj Mahal of sports bars. Same parking lot as Old South Pancake House on University. Just go over there and take a tour of the dang business. It's unbelievable. Tri-State Dent is our paintless dent removal company. Door dings, hail damage, anything like that. Tri-State does it. Jason has, they come to you, all you got to do is call them. Casey Crawl, Medicare and Medicaid. I know I've had many people of our members call us. How do we find out? I've been down to the Social Security office. Don't worry about any of that. Call Casey Crawl. He'll get one of his members, associates, they're experts. They'll come to your place, you can come to their place, or they'll meet you somewhere in between. Rains Plumbing. They are a family-owned plumbing business. They've done a lot of work for us. In fact, I'm thinking I'm going to have to call them here in a minute. Got an issue at the house. Railhead Barbecue, Charlie Guerin. He's our state rep. He's on the board of directors at Larry's Kids. He owns Railhead Barbecue. He's an all-around great guy. He really is. Very active in the bike giveaway. He's passionate about it. Optimus Club of Fort Worth. Jeff Norman heads up that particular group. He was over a few weeks ago and explained all of the great stuff they do for kids, both boys and girls. Old South Pancake House, 2 locations. One on 1500 South University Drive. Same parking lot as Rex's Bar and Grill. They're open 24/7 there. There's another location in Burleson. They close at 9 or 10 at night. So Jenny Stewart is our State Farm insurance lady. All I ask is that you call one of her team members, check the price. Everybody that has messaged me back said they saved money. Cross Electric, Brandon Cross. Let me make sure I'm doing this thing right. Nope, I'm not doing that right. I don't know why I can't. Okay, now I'm right. Brandon Cross, they were nominated DFW's favorites. Manny Ramirez uses them. We've used them. A bunch of y'all have used them. Just give them a holler. K-Ranch Roofing. Jorge Hernandez is the owner. They'll come out and check your roof with all the hail damage and the wind damage. They don't charge you anything for that. You'll need to call one of those numbers and get Bree. She is the office manager. She's the lady that schedules out the work. She'll get somebody out to tell you if you got a problem or not. They don't charge for that. Fort Worth Lumber, longtime sponsors, longtime members of the bike giveaway. Steve Coburn, Coburn's Catering. Coburn's has been in business since 1946. They originally had a cafeteria over there besides the catering. Still on North Main. They've been there, let's see, 64, 84, 89 years. Dickie Carr, Sand and Gravel. That's Pat and Richard Carr. They're always ready to help anybody that needs help, I can assure you. Great folks. Dana Lang is our realtor. One of her companies is Dana Sales Cowtown. Great name. She was at our luncheon on Saturday at Railhead, and we sit there and talk for like 2 hours. She's very knowledgeable about Fort Worth. A Bird AC and Heating, Dub Peacock's company. So we're getting ready to come into these 90 and 100 degree days. You need to get your unit checked. Call Dub Peacock. Eric Walsh. He's on the board of directors at Larry's Kids, real estate business, all around good guy, great guy. Yellow Snake Horses, Brazos River Ranch. You go down I-20 for about 45 minutes, an hour. Turn at Millsap. She owns about 200 acres down there. You can ride horses for a couple of hours for $75. So I know everybody's probably already got plumbers, electrical, and all of that. I'm just asking that you give our people a shot at it. Let them give you a bid on it. we've got such a large group that we should be able to keep plenty of work coming to these sponsors, because they help just like y'all do to keep this thing floating. You know, there ain't nothing free. The rent here is $5,000 a month. So we have to have sponsors to help defer the expense of this museum, because we dang sure don't get it in donations. All these museums get donations, not this one. And we're the only Fort Worth museum in Fort Worth. Okay. I've talked too long. It's already 8 o'clock. 7:51. Oh, thank you. I've got a individual said he's going to come by and show me who was in the who had the right of way. Oh, that lady was just beside herself. You can imagine waiting in line to get a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden people are ramming the back of your vehicle. I can't believe I was behind them kids. They were kids. Okay, so y'all study William Charbonnet. Great family. Lake Worth owes them a lot. I will see y'all